border control down in the southern border know this imam because his address is where people are going. So what does that house of worship need to be able to welcome people? Well, we've gotten them a bunch of very practical stuff. And likewise to, Methodist churches that are doing, welcome legal assistance and, food and clothing. Now, what's happened in 2 years? The opposite dynamic. Instead of coming, we are now facing as you say, the disappearances of our newest neighbors. And those very same houses of worship now are doing accompaniments, unfortunately, down to Federal Plaza. They are, finding habeas lawyers to issue habeas petitions when, for example, like we saw, just last week, vendors being picked up by ICE on Canal Street. We've got, there's just a massive scramble, as you guys have been seeing in Chicago, when people are disappeared. It uproots everything. And all we can do is be neighbors, be the neighbors that God wants us to be.
Pio?
Yes, and we have to bring out the vote. They will try everything not to have our midterm elections, but we have to make sure that everyone who can vote, must vote, should vote, and vote with their conscience, because we cannot accept what is happening to this country.
I've never seen an attack on the country quite like this. I'm 60 years old, and I was born March 11th, 1965, in the middle of the Selma to Montgomery campaign. PL brings up the vote, but from Texas to California to Illinois, now to the leader of the Maryland legislature, he's saying he's not going to adjust or bring forward any remapping legislation in his state. I've heard from Congressman Emanuel Cleaver from the St. Louis area and the threats to his congressional district. Obviously, Congressman Cleo Fields in Louisiana, the Robinson versus Calais decision, which was argued before the court just a week or so ago, last Wednesday. I'm wondering, in that place where we're trying to find some hope, that the very voices, the LGBTQIA, the African American voices, the voices of the indigenous, the voices that Howard Thurman would have referred to, of the people whose backs are against the wall. And I know that Reverend Breyer heard that plenty times at Union Theological Seminary, somewhere between Cornell West and Aubrey Hendricks and others who teach there. I'm wondering, what do we say, and what is the word that we give to people whose spirits have been broken, who find themselves at this hour with their backs against the wall?
I just, again, like the list, in the room next door is a list of, it's for us, it's a lot of Muslim names, because we're really focused on West African New Yorkers. And it's like, there's just a list there of people who were picked up, are now, for us, it's at a Delaney detention center, just wasting away, if they are even still there. And we just have to continue to be in touch. We have to have, it's the powerless, the thing about it that makes it so difficult is how powerless we often feel to be able to do anything, even given what we have. So I have, just personally in ministry work, tried not to make promises of any kind, but to promise, if anything, just to be with people and to walk with them, no matter where they are taken. And we know how awful places can be. A lot of where people are taken are not pleasant places, to put it mildly. So just to continue to be in touch with our neighbors.
In a real way, in a real sense, Mamdani's election, God willing, next week, is a form of hope that the entire country, I think, needs against the backdrop of what's been taking place. And I realize he is becoming increasingly a symbol for everything, for the people that are being disappeared, for the affordability issue, for healthcare, for housing. And so many people are looking forward to a signal being sent by New York to the resistance movement, to the Democratic Party, to people of goodwill who might find themselves in any party, to say, listen, we are bringing forward a new generation of people to do exactly what PL is saying: vote, engage, re-engage the system, and make a difference at the polling places. But I got to be honest with you, the weight of the oppression in just 9 months, 10 months of the Trump presidency, it feels like it's been a lifetime. And the idea that we even have 3 more years of this is almost overwhelming and very difficult to bear. PL, we have about a minute or so before we come forward, maybe a minute and a half. Why don't we let you bring us out of this segment? Your thoughts, PL?
The thing is this: federal workers are not getting paid, but so are soldiers in the military. And as Napoleon said, if I don't feed my soldiers, somebody else will feed them and they will become theirs. There's no leader nor leadership that can survive if they don't pay their military. And dire things could happen in this country if people do not get paid. And I cannot say this more clearly, but that is what is going to happen, and the writing is on the wall.
I'm very interested when we come forward as to whether or not the path of shutting down the government, in light of what PL has said, is the right path. Is there a point, a breaking point? Again, this is the Thanksgiving holiday. People are expecting to be with their families. They're expecting to eat, but it's increasingly clear we're going to be inviting many families into our homes, and rightfully so, to make sure that they enjoy the same kind of holidays that we've come used to as Americans. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Worldwide with PL De Silva, and our very special guest is none other than Reverend Chloe Brayer, an Episcopal priest from the city of New York. More when we come forward after the break on Jesse Jackson Jr.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Florida is stepping up after Hurricane Melissa devastated Jamaica. Orlando attorney Dan Newlin is flying 3 planes of supplies to Kingston with reggae star Shaggy, who joins in Miami.
If the people are saying, Dan, can you bring more? Can you get more stuff? Then we will fly up, load up, and continue to make flights down.
Newlin says he'll also bring home stranded American tourists. AI-generated videos mocking Black women have gone viral on TikTok, sparking outrage. The clips, made with OpenAI's Sora tool, show women yelling about EBT cards in exaggerated scenarios, reinforcing harmful stereotypes. Critics call the trend racist and dangerous. And Drake plans to appeal after a judge dismissed his lawsuit over Kendrick Lamar's hit Not Like Us. Drake sued Universal Music Group, claiming the song sparked memes and jokes at his expense. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers arrived in Toronto early Thursday morning after an overnight flight from LA. They need some extra time in Toronto for batting practice to prepare for Game 6 Friday night. The Dodgers are batting only .201 as a team against the Blue Jays in the World Series. The Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead. The NBA Board of Governors gave unanimous approval to Dodgers owner Mark Walter to become the new owner of the Lakers. Walter is buying the Lakers from the Buss family for $10 billion, the highest purchase price for a sports franchise in U.S. history. Walter paid $2.15 billion for the Dodgers in 2012. According to Forbes magazine, the Dodgers are now valued at $6.8 billion. The Rose Bowl and the city of Pasadena are suing UCLA to keep the school from moving its football games to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. UCLA has not announced they are moving, but somebody is having some conversations somewhere. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you missed the recent Left Coast Forum, then you really missed out. An insightful presentation from Professor Richard Wolff, a call to action from LA Mayor Karen Bass, an insider's view on Prop 50 and the government shutdown from Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, and as usual, Dr. Cornel West brought down the House with a powerful closing keynote. And many of the plenary sessions were standing room only. Check out our social media posts for photos and video of what you missed at the Left Coast Forum and make plans to attend one of our upcoming events. Our next Altadena Town Hall is Thursday, November 6th, 4 to 6 p.m. at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena. We're going to interrogate SoCal Edison's settlement fund and see what's really going on with this fire recovery program. And our KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair is Saturday, November the 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in Leimert Park at Catch at Audubon Middle School. All the details about these upcoming events can be found at our website, KBLA1580.com. So thanks again to all those who supported the Left Coast Forum, and a special thanks to our partners this year: the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, Partnership for Growth, UTLA, LA Care Health Plan, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and the Liberty Hill Foundation.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in a National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
An official message from Medicare. Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Working Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than P.L. De Silva. He is also Senior Policy Advisor at Lead Integrity. Previously, he was the Senior Advisor at the United Nations Global Compact in the Executive Office of the Secretary General, Kofi Annan. Post 9/11, Dr. De Silva was a member of the UN Terrorism Committee in the Special Subgroup on Weapons of Mass Destruction and Terrorism, headed by Jayantha Danayapia, and the Policy Working Group on the UN Terrorism, chaired by Sir Kieran Prendergast, Under Secretary General of Political Affairs. Dr. De Silva, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. I
know I've slaughtered a number of those names, Dr. De Silva, but thank you for being patient with me. I'll get them better. Next time. And I certainly want to welcome Dr. Breyer back to our program. Dr. Breyer has also participated in interfaith dialogues and humanitarian aid initiatives in Afghanistan and Iran, and is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Dr. Breyer, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great. Thank you.
The United States has historically played a pivotal role in soft diplomacy around the world. We see in the Trump administration the dismantling of the United States Agency for International Development. I know you know what that means in Afghanistan. I know you know what it means for the poor around the world. And even our democracy initiatives, our freedom initiatives for women, for different, if you will, groups of people throughout the world. I'm wondering if the role of the United States is forever changed in our historical understanding of what role we played in advancing human rights in the global community.
Again, I can give you some anecdotal information. I made my way or got over to Afghanistan after 9/11 here in New York, and the Christian Muslim reconciliation and dialogue work that we were doing, we helped to work with this Afghan community in Flushing to rebuild a mosque that had been hit by U.S. bombs in Kabul. And having gone over there and seeing what was happening, the hunger that these girls had for education, who had been deprived of that under the first Taliban, seeing them, desperate, sitting in buildings that had been completely bombed out, just desperate for any kind of education, recognizing that after 15, 20 years, the United States had inspired, not just with our money, but with our presence and with our ideals, an entire generation of girls who'd grown up with education, who'd grown up with the promise that we gave them of a future that is one in which they could do what they wanted, aspire to their ideals. And it's the most kind of crushing thing about that situation right now and the return of the Taliban that really came about through a awful set of negotiations that happened under the Trump administration, where the Taliban was elevated in our decision to negotiate only with them and to leave the Afghan government out of it. What we have is the return of this awful regime, and again the complete crushing of a set of ideals that we helped to install, and it's desperate there now. I don't have to tell you that. So it's just an example of some of the devastation that happens when we withdraw our money, our attention, and some of the ideals that we espouse.
PL, there seems to be a collapse, if you will, of American goodwill around the world in this particular administration, and it has consequences for Americans abroad, but it certainly has consequences for us domestically.
Yes, definitely. So, for example, take one example. The Dutch, who are the closest to the US, have now decided, the head of Dutch intelligence has decided that they will not share intelligence with the United States anymore because they do not trust this administration. They do not. And that is huge because they don't see any future in it. And the head of Dutch intelligence said that, soft power is about trust, okay? And soft power is what makes hard power happen. And if you don't have soft power, your hard power is just hanging in the wind. So the people who are running the Pentagon think that, the boys and their toys, that they have power in the world. But actually, without soft power, it is simply meaningless. And it was made painfully clear by the head of Dutch intelligence.
I reflecting upon what Dr. Breyer said about Afghan young girls and women, I have to believe in this environment that women around the world are experiencing unprecedented oppression, because the United States, when I was on the Foreign Operations Committee, actually played a significant role in contingenting our funds and other initiatives within their country on the education of women and the development of women in civil society. Are we experiencing on a scale that we haven't seen a backward motion in terms of the basic human rights of women abroad as well?
I mean, PL, you'll know more than I do on that kind of global scale. But I can only think with the the act where the GAG Act that refuses to tie any money to family planning, which is the one thing that's shown to actually take countries from a state of poverty to a somewhat less of a state of poverty. This one thing, in addition, of course, to PEPFAR and the other USAID efforts, and the economies that surrounded those efforts, the smaller NGOs, the whole kind of flourishing that were tied to the existence of our foreign aid. I think it has created a horrible backsliding, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the United Nations Population Fund, which does a lot of work on sexual reproductive health, has been defunded by Trump 2.0. He did it in his first administration as well. And at that time, it was the Benelux and Scandinavian countries that covered the shortfall. And you can see that there is a huge amount of impact, including, childbirth and more women, dying during childbirth and all of these things, because simply the funds are not there to provide the services of midwifery services that were provided across the board globally by the United Nations Population Fund and allied, local health authorities. So there's a C impact on so many things. Health is one, education is another, as Reverend Breyer mentioned. So, and also it comes to cultural leadership of the United States. The United States is not a trusted party anymore, as the Dutch have pointed out, and that is so bad for the United States, which was the pinnacle for freedom and democracy in the world. And we are actually the opposite. And as the first African Nobel laureate, has had his visa cancelled by the State Department. I mean, these are like horrific things. We would have never expected this kind of behavior from the United States of America.
I know that when we come forward, which is our final segment on the show, I want to leave 3 minutes at the end of the program for Dr. Breyer to give our listening audience a word of hope. But I also want to shift part of the conversation to the curriculum for training religious leaders in this environment that Dr. Breyer has pioneered and has been working on. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with P.L. De Silva and Dr. Chloe Breyer when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in a National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call,
do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Thought-Provoking Thursdays, worldwide with P.L. De Silva and our very special guest, Reverend Chloe Brayer. I'm so grateful that both of you are spending this afternoon with us. And again, towards the end of our program, towards the top of the hour, Reverend Brayer, we always let our guests end with a word of hope. And so I hope you're formulating that in your mind. I wanted to touch upon Wole Soyinka's denial of a visa to enter the United States after his criticism of the Trump administration. And I'm wondering, in light of the work that you've done and the organizations that you have worked with in creating a curriculum to train religious leaders in civic engagement, civic participation, to move them beyond the walls of the church, whether or not there is a chilling effect in this environment for the prophetic voice of ministry, both Islamic, from the Judeo-Christian traditions, from the traditions of our Hebrew and Jewish brothers and sisters. Are our voices being chilled in this environment, and are our voices being left less prophetic?
You know, there's no question that is the case. And the offices at the Interfaith Center of New York are right across from Columbia University. So with the Riverside Church, and a whole group of us went down to visit Mahmoud Khalil, who, if you remember, was the Palestinian rights activist at Columbia that was I think one of the first in that round of political. He was a political prisoner, and there's no other way to describe what happened to him. He was, called in. ICE was called in, picked him up with his wife, however many, 6 months pregnant, and sent down to Jenna Detention Center. And with the inspiration of the freedom riders of the 60s, we got in a van and went down to try to visit him in Jenna. And it was, just a reminder that while we think we may have come a long way, we haven't really come a long way in many respects. And as faith leaders, we kind of need to be prepared for anything. And I'm so glad you just brought that up, because to this moment, the Interfaith Center of Civic Leadership Academy, which has been going since, for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, we've been introducing community organizing techniques, how to, empower your community, where to go in city government to get stuff done. We actually haven't, included until this year, we have not included how to, what are the risks that you face for speaking out. And that's something that we really need to do, because the prophets before us, it cost them everything. Those biblical prophets were, they were the examples, bar none, of how to to speak the truth against powers that were so much greater than them.
I'm thinking about that statement Martin Luther King Jr. made, and I believe the great spirit Gandhi made, about unearned suffering being redemptive, and how from that spirit emerges a different kind of courage, like the courage and the challenge that Martin Luther King Jr. issued to the clergy from the Birmingham jail when he reversed the question, why are you all essentially not standing up? Why are you not fighting? And have you adjusted to the, if you will, the new norms of that time, which could quickly become our new norms if in fact we don't take a hard look at the kind of, how shall I say it, a radical liberation Christianity that protects our neighbors and loves them as much as we love ourselves. Dr. De Silva, some thoughts from you before I ask Reverend Breyer to give us a word of hope for closing.
My mother used to say that difficulties develop the strengths of the soul. And I truly believe in that. And I think in this crucible of fire that we are being tested, that we will overcome, we shall overcome, and we will be the stronger for it. We, the people, shall be stronger. And and there are steps that need to be taken. And the most important and most urgent step now is to vote, vote, vote. It's coming up shortly. And then in March in Chicago, we want to call out the vote from Southside Chicago for you.
Oh, wow.
Jesse Jackson Jr. We want to see you in Congress. And we want to see the Congressional Black Caucus making a difference.
PL, I've got only about 30 seconds for Dr. Breyer. Dr. Breyer.
So one of my favorite prophets is the prophet Jeremiah. And if you recall, he spent a long time in a complete crisis situation where Nebuchadnezzar was invading. He was thrown down a well at some point. He was, under so much pressure. And what did he do during that time? He brought a piece of land. Like he just was like full of condemnation, full of the wrath of God is coming down on the Israelites. It's all coming apart. And then what did he do? He bought a piece of land because that was the future. He had within him the hope that that land would be a place where fruit would grow, where families would again be able to rejoice. And we've got to keep that vision of a piece of land, whatever that means to us, something that's normal, something that promises the future, a better future than this. We've got to cultivate it, that vision of hope inside ourselves.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
That's a great word of hope. Thank you, Dr. Breyer. Thank you, PL. I'll see you guys soon. Dr. Breyer, you know you're always welcome on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward with Johnny Mack.
Thank you.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Florida is stepping up after Hurricane Melissa devastated Jamaica. Orlando attorney Dan Newlin is flying 3 planes of supplies to Kingston with reggae star Shaggy, who joins in Miami.
If the people are saying, Dan, can you bring more? Can you get more stuff? Then we will fly up, load up, and continue to make flights down.
Newlin says he'll also bring home stranded American tourists. AI-generated videos mocking Black women have gone viral on TikTok, sparking outrage. The clips, made with OpenAI's Sora tool, show women yelling about EBT cards in exaggerated scenarios, reinforcing harmful stereotypes. Critics call the trend racist and dangerous. And Drake plans to appeal after a judge dismissed his lawsuit over Kendrick Lamar's hit Not Like Us. Drake sued Universal Music Group, claiming the song sparked memes and jokes at his expense. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Dodgers arrived in Toronto early Thursday morning after an overnight flight from LA. They need some extra time in Toronto for batting practice to prepare for Game 6 Friday night. The Dodgers are batting only .201 as a team against the Blue Jays in the World Series. The Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead. The NBA Board of Governors gave unanimous approval to Dodgers owner Mark Walter to become the new owner of the Lakers. Walter is buying the Lakers from the Buss family for $10 billion, the highest purchase price for a sports franchise in U.S. history. Walter paid $2.15 billion for the Dodgers in 2012. According to Forbes magazine, the Dodgers are now valued at $6.8 billion. The Rose Bowl and the city of Pasadena are suing UCLA to keep the school from moving its football games to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. UCLA has not announced they are moving, but somebody is having some conversations somewhere. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you missed the recent Left Coast Forum, then you really missed out. An insightful presentation from Professor Richard Wolff, a call to action from LA Mayor Karen Bass, an insider's view on Prop 50 and the government shutdown from Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, and as usual, Dr. Cornel West brought down the House with a powerful closing keynote. And many of the plenary sessions were standing room only. Check out our social media posts for photos and video of what you missed at the Left Coast Forum and make plans to attend one of our upcoming events. Our next Altadena Town Hall is Thursday, November 6th, 4 to 6 p.m. at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena. We're going to interrogate SoCal Edison's settlement fund and see what's really going on with this fire recovery program. And our KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair is Saturday, November the 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in Lemert Park at Catch at Audubon Middle School. All the details about these upcoming events can be found at our website, KBLA1580.com. So thanks again to all those who supported the Left Coast Forum, and a special thanks to our partners this year. The LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, Partnership for Growth, UTLA, LA Care Health Plan, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and the Liberty Hill Foundation.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I am really grateful for the time that we spent with P.L. De Silva and Dr. Breyer to reflect for a moment on the faith community and strengthening our faith in this very difficult hour in our nation's history. To think that the men and women of God themselves every now and then have to go to the well themselves to get some new energy, to get some new strength, to get some new motivation, to hear a word, to replenish their souls does matter. I remember when I had just gotten released from prison and my dad told me to go to the Omega Sci-Fi Conclave. And I said, Dad, I really don't want to be singing around a lot of folks right now. He said, man, listen, you need to get your head out of your behind. You need to go down there and hang out with your brothers. That's what my dad told me. Hang out with your brothers and let your brothers inspire you and fire you up, because it helps when you're in community. So I went to the Omega Conclave in Louisiana, and man, I had a wonderful time. And I even had a wonderful time because in community, my brothers were walking up to me saying, man, we've all been through something. We've all been through something. And I started lifting up my head as a result of it. Well, our brothers and sisters in the clergy also need that kind of inspiration in very, very difficult hours. And so I was particularly inspired by Dr. De Silva and Dr. Breyer's witness, their encouragement, certainly Dr. De Silva's desire that we must vote. We must vote. We must vote. It contains almost every aspect of our faith at this hour. Senator Raphael Warnock said it best, that a vote is a kind of prayer that we cast for the world that we want to see. Very grateful for our guests in the previous hour, and I certainly hope Dr. Breyer will come back on our show, because I think she was about to preach for us, and I really, really needed to hear that. In this hour, Dr. Johnny Mack on the World House. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse Jackson Jr., how are you? It's good to be here.
Man, it's great to have you, Dr. Mack. Dr. Mack is the principal and managing partner of the Johnny Mack Group, founding director of the World House Project. He is well-traveled throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, explicating Dr. King's so-called call to restructure the social edifice and the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism with a revolution of values that are effected through peaceable power. Dr. Mack, again, always a privilege to have you on the World House with Johnny Mack.
My pleasure. Thank you for having
Johnny,
me.
there's so much going on in the world today, and I want to reflect upon some of it with you in this hour. We are going to be returning at some point to the curriculum that you've laid out in the nonviolent metalogic of Martin Luther King Jr. But I also have to be very timely with what's happening in our world, in our streets, and the idea that has been brought to our nation's consciousness that 42 million people on November 1st are going to lose basic food assistance programs in the United States as a result of the government shutdown. Now, that's horrific in and of itself. But in this moment, there is also, to your point about, and Dr. King's point about the triple evils, there is also the recognition that there are not 42 million people unemployed in America. Those would be depressionary kind of numbers, maybe numbers that the system itself would not be able to recover from. So what are we really saying? We're saying that some significant portion of 42 million people actually work. They actually work more than one job. They may work 2 or 3 jobs. And at the end of a 3-job day, they still need supplemental nutrition programs and food stamps to survive. What kind of a world, house, or community are we living in when almost a fifth of the nation finds itself needing food assistance?
Yeah, Jesse, so we're living in an unjust world. And then anytime there is not justice, then there isn't peace. Certainly there isn't what we academics like to call positive peace. There's something terribly wrong with the social structure that allows, particularly in the nation that leads the world's economy, the richest nation on the globe, the richest nation that the planet has ever known, to have 42 million of its citizens who would struggle after barely a month of a government shutdown. There's something terribly wrong with how we divide and distribute, Jesse, our nation's resources. And that was Dr. King's message, that the social edifice needs restructuring. And that's the work that we must do.
I want to hang around this 42 million for a minute, because I know that in just about another minute or so, we will be coming forward. But the Democrats are holding out in Washington for the restoration of certain benefits under Obamacare, so millions of people will not lose their health care. At this same hour, 42 million people are looking at potential hunger as a result of the cancellation of these SNAP benefits, which will be a very, very different Thanksgiving than we have ever experienced as a nation. Normally, we have plenty of food on our table, but there will be a lot of tables this year where there will be less food than there was in previous years. And I just can't get out of my mind that these are working people every single day who need health care and food benefits in this nation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're listening to The World House with Johnny Mack. More with Johnny Mack when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Thursday evening, November 6th, you're invited to the next KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Town Hall meeting. This time, we're convening at Victory Bible Church, 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. The town hall will once again be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580 from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, November 6th. But you're invited to join us in person for this urgent and necessary community conversation. The theme for this Altadena Eaton Canyon Fire Town Hall is Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The primary focus of this gathering is to inform residents about Southern California Edison Edison's newly launched Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program and provide clarity on eligibility and the claims process. There are plenty of questions to be asked, and only KBLA Talk 1580 has the right moderators to ask the tough questions, the right stakeholders and community activists to share their insights, and we have confirmed the participation of corporate executives from Southern California Edison to answer our queries. So be sure to join us at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena, 1497 North Hill Avenue on Thursday, November 6th. The event is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Light refreshments will be served immediately following the live town hall. This KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Rising Town Hall is brought to you by the Black Freedom Fund.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. You're listening to the World House with Johnny Mack on Thought Provoking Thursdays. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good to be here, Jesse.
Johnny, just before the break, we were talking about that 42 million people who need health care. They need food assistance. And as the government shutdown continues, we're going to find out some other things that they need for their basic survival. And in this moment, when we think about the triple evils, militarism, poverty, and materialism, the triple evils that Dr. King saw as a threat to the social edifice and argued that it needed to be restructured around a new value system, I'm thinking in this moment that as we educate more people to the idea that people who are on SNAP benefits are not lazy people sitting around with nothing else to do but get a check every month, $125, $200, $250, supplemental nutrition program for food, that at the end of a hard day's work, they still need more food. They need to feed their children. They need to feed their families. They need to send some small amounts of money to their children in college, if in fact they have it. They're just getting by. In fact, they're not getting by at all without supplemental nutrition program. I'm thinking the numbers in this moment are higher as a percentage of the population than they were when Dr. King said that the World House needed to be restructured in the first place. Johnny, am I wrong?
Oh, you can't be wrong. I mean, back when King made that statement, I think our national population was just over half what it is today. And so in real numbers, of course, 42 million is a very large number, significantly more than it was, relatively to that time. But not only that, who's keeping the numbers and how are those numbers determined? So, I don't think you're wrong, Jesse. But whatever the number is, if it's 1 or 1,000,001 or 100 million and one, the fact is that ordinary people, as you've noted, people simply trying to get by from one day to the next, simply trying to feed their children and to make ends meet, find themselves caught between the president's failure, the Congress's failure to serve the people, which is why they were elected in the first place. That's their role. And the argument, Jesse, which is really interesting to me, to argue over whether it's health benefits or food, which one do you want?
Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
It is amazing. So they're blaming each other, and I say they are blaming each other. Yes, we want health benefits. Can you imagine your health premiums, which are already too high? In fact, the U.S., as I'm sure you know, and our listeners know, has the greatest or the most costly medical system in the world. And so, with premiums already too high, if the bill that the president wants to pass does pass, then health premiums will double. Can you imagine? And so, what kind of choice is this? And what kind of people would put its citizens in this predicament of themselves having to choose, put pressure on their elected officials to pass a bill today so that they can eat, and then tomorrow they can't get health care. They can't afford that health care. And that's what the American people are facing today.
And you know, let's talk about some of those choices for a moment. That's the choice between filling up your car and not filling up your car because you need food on your table for your children. These are the choices that some people have to make in this environment. It is a choice between whether or not somebody's going to bed hungry tonight and or someone is not going to bed. And my dad often said, particularly in 1984 and 1988, and I'm so grateful to Tavis and his interview with Abby Phillip yesterday, because I got to listen and think about some of the things that I listened to him say in 1984, when he said when he was growing up, his grandmother never concluded if she just had 2 pork chops and a piece of cornbread. She never concluded that she had 2 excess children. What she did was she took 2 pork chops and she turned made gravy out of them.
Yes.
And then she added some rice and she added some okra to it, and it created a kind of pork chop succotash. And suddenly she strengthened or lengthened a meal from 2 pork chops. And Dad would argue that magically it felt like we were eating multiple pork chops. But Grandmom was stretching a meal for him and for his brother when he was growing up.
Yeah.
And these are just some of the choices that the American people have to make. Am I going to see my child's teacher? Am I going to see my child? Am I going to my child's football, basketball, volleyball? Am I going to watch my daughter's recital? Will she even be taking extracurricular courses for her own development as a result of some of the choices that we will be making? Do I even do laundry for my children this week at the laundry cleaner? Y'all got to wear the same stuff last week, this week, because I can't wash your clothes before you go to school this week. I mean, these are some of the choices that the American people at this hour are going to have to make. And I'm beyond perplexed that the argument between the Democrats and the Republicans are a big, ugly bill for billionaires to get more tax breaks. Democrats holding out, shutting down the government over some health care benefits. And now we're watching the supplemental nutrition program and 42 million people losing their benefits on November 1st. I mean, it is beyond the pale that the American government at this hour has failed the American people.
It is, Jesse. And, you know, we have to ask ourselves, we, not just you and me, not just you and I, but even those 42 million people, what do we do about it? You know, in the last segment, you were talking about voting, and voting is important. It is indeed. Voting is on one form of very positive social action, absolutely necessary. And voting is something that happens at a moment in time. But Jesse, we've got to organize ourselves as a people to have sustained interventions that ensure that we're holding our elected officials accountable. There are reasons why we voted them into office. And at some point, 42 million people are going to have to find themselves in the streets. I don't think, Jesse, that we can wait till an election. And even if we do, what happens, Jesse Jackson Jr., when our elections give us more of the same? What happens when we get someone worse than we have now in the seat that we are voting for? The American people, the American citizens, civil society has to take charge of its life and the life of its community. We have to decide the type of world we want to live in. And then we have to act on that.
You know, I think that Democrats, to be honest with you, and I'm sorry for being so partisan because so much of our resistance is in the party that's on the out, since Republicans control the Senate, control the House, control the White House, and obviously control the Supreme Court. It seems to me in this moment that while Democrats, even in their desire to stand up and resist and shut the government down, they are still not the beneficiaries of the anxiety or the anger of the American people in a positive way that even my good friend P.L. Da Silva hopes that they do, that they turn out and vote. My argument, and I think even on this program with you, we've dug a little deeper beyond where the present messaging is. And that is, you know, you don't feel my pain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand that I go to work and I still need my food. I still don't make enough money to pay my bills or to have feed my family. And I need this supplemental program. And it's not just in Chicago or Los Angeles or New York. I'm talking rural communities. We're talking rural health. We're talking about farmers on supplemental nutrition programs. That's why it's in the agriculture department. That's why it's in the ag bill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is not a program that stands alone to fight poverty for poor Black folks and poor brown folks. It's in the agriculture bill because it's a program designed to feed farmers when farmers who grow food still can't get the price at market to feed their families while they try to feed other families. I mean, it's the party's missing the messaging here that people are working 2 or 3 jobs and they still need supplemental assistance. And don't nobody want to tell you they need supplemental assistance. There are people on supplemental assistance that we wouldn't know were on supplemental assistance, but we about to see them.
Yeah.
They wear nice suits, they wear jackets, they come to work every day, they look professional every day. Michael Harrington said we have the best dressed poverty in the world. Dr. King said the same thing. He and Michael Harrington were good friends. The best dressed poverty in the world. But now you're about to see a person who's starving or who's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be wearing a suit. They're going to be wearing some nice jeans. They're going to have a nice haircut. And yet they can't feed their family tonight. Dr. Mack?
Yeah. And, so again, those very families, Jesse, yes, they're farmers. Yes, they're rural, but they span the entire spectrum of what makes us Americans, Jesse. None of us, however we identify ourselves, are left out of this dilemma that we ourselves have not created. And so we, in solidarity, as King would say, Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, each and every one of us and all of us have to come together as community and take charge of this problem, Jesse. I don't think that even if we solve this problem in this moment, we'll come back 90 days later with another resolution, with another need to a continuing resolution for the budget. At some point, this has to stop. This isn't a matter of black and white. This is a matter of those who have and those who don't.
Johnny, the mayor of the city of Chicago has called for a general strike.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think we talked about a general strike on our program long before the mayor actually called for it, by the way. But on this question of the general strike, hungry people, people without health care, people fighting to live, is that the context for a conversation about a revolution of values? And I want to shift that to King's point about the revolution of values, because when I think about it theologically, before Jesus could preach, before he could offer precepts and commandments, he'd want to start that sermon with fish sandwiches.
That's right.
And that's exactly what he did. Let me feed these people, nourish their bodies before they can even hear me tell them why they should care about a Roman soldier.
Yeah. So it's fundamental, isn't it? It it doesn't take long before the stomach begins to tell the rest of the body that it needs nourishment. And, we've got to start there. But, your question began with this idea of a revolution of values. And my point just before your question is, we can't keep doing this. We can't every 3 months find ourselves at the precipice of tragedy and again fighting, wondering whether or not we're going to be able to feed our children or pay our bills, or whatever the exigency, whatever the urgency in our lives is at that time, whether it's medical or employment, you name it. So this question about a revolution of values is a very important one that we cannot ignore.
I know that we're going to be coming forward in just a moment. I want to talk about that revolution of values in the form of a floor that I believe Martin Luther King Jr. would have considered a floor beneath which no human being should fall. And I think because the government is now showing us that it's capable of taking the floor from us, that we, the people, have to give some thought to the idea of what is a guaranteed floor and where should we guarantee it. I mean, I'm tired, like you are, 90 days later having another healthcare conversation. I want the right to healthcare of equal high quality for all Americans in the Constitution of the United States. And I'm tired of talking about healthcare every 90 days. It's just basic, equal high quality for everyone. I'm tired of discussing education every 6 months. We need a floor beneath which no American should fall. I'm tired of talking about the environment over and over and over again. We need to put the right to a clean, safe, and sustainable environment in the Constitution. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more on KBLA Talk 1580. We're doing the World House with Johnny Mack. More when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Relief flights are landing in Kingston, Montego Bay, and St. Mary. American Airlines sent 2 planes from Miami with supplies and is flying customers off the island.
We're going to need help, cash donations to be able to buy building materials, building supplies.
Jamaica's Consul General says aid was pre-positioned with food for the poor and global empowerment mission already on the ground. Dr. Henry J. Lyons, former president of the National Baptist Convention USA, has died at 83. Once a major Black religious leader, the convention says he'll be remembered for his lasting dedication to the church and community. And for the first time since 1990, no rap songs are in Billboard's Hot 100 Top 40. Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Luther dropped off the chart, with Youngboy Never Broke Again's Shot Callin' landing at 44, and Cardi B's Safe featuring Kehlani at 48. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Dodgers arrived in Toronto early Thursday morning after an overnight flight from LA. They need some extra time in Toronto for batting practice to prepare for Game 6 Friday night. The Dodgers are batting only .201 as a team against the Blue Jays in the World Series. The Blue Jays have a 3-2 lead. The NBA Board of Governors gave unanimous approval to Dodgers owner Mark Walter to become the new owner of the Lakers. Walter is buying the Lakers from the Buss family for $10 billion, the highest purchase price for a sports franchise in U.S. history. Walter paid $2.15 billion for the Dodgers in 2012. According to Forbes magazine, the Dodgers are now valued at $6.8 billion. The Rose Bowl and the city of Pasadena are suing UCLA to keep the school from moving its football games to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. UCLA has not announced they are moving, but somebody is having some conversations somewhere. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's the World House on Thursdays with Johnny Mack on Thought Provoking Thursdays. And Johnny is clearly one of our most thoughtful thinkers, and certainly in the tradition of Martin Luther King Jr., Johnny has given thought to the what nexts of the King questions. And I remind everyone that Martin Luther King Jr. was tragically taken from us at age 39, almost impossible to imagine a man with so much wisdom, with so much thought, with so much spirit energy and world-changing energy, that he accomplished so much and had such a profound life in so short a period of time. He often measured his life not by its quantity, but by its quality. And he certainly gave us a significant amount of that. Johnny Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Johnny, I want to restructure the social edifice with you and the value system. I wake up every day knowing that, well, at least I did wake up at one point believing that I had freedom of speech. And then I joined Facebook and my posts get taken down, right? I thought I had freedom of speech. I thought I could protest, but there could be the National Guard at the other end of my protest. So that isn't necessarily true. But anyway, I've been led to believe most of my life that these values were the kinds of values that sustained the society and the republic itself. Lately, in the last 20 or so years, I've been told that I have the constitutional right to a gun. And the result of that is there are more guns in America than there are people by like hundreds of millions of guns more. And when I think about the social edifice and how we restructure it and how we pay for it, it seems to me that we can't pay for it unless it is put in place and sustained over time. Now, I got that in time. I preached a sermon, by the way, on in time, over time, and just in time, which I got from you. And I gave you the credit the first couple of times I used it. But ever since then, I've been claiming it as my own thinking.
That's okay.
So I need to understand, and then we've got to pay for these values, right? These values cost. So they have to be paid for over time. Like healthcare has to be paid for over time. When do I need healthcare? I need healthcare when I get sick. Did I need healthcare 20 years ago? No. Do I need it maybe 20 years from now? Likely. At 80, God willing, I make it that far. So we need healthcare as Americans at the moment that we have a problem. Not, or we discover the problem, or we at least take care of our lives over time in such a way that, you know, we put off the idea that we need healthcare as long as we can until we do need healthcare. So healthcare has to be available of the highest possible quality at the moment I find something wrong with me that needs to be fixed. It just has to be available for 350 million people and growing just like that. So there has to be a floor. It has to be equal high quality. It can't be subpar or substandard. And it needs to be available for me when I need it. And it needs to be my right. I can't be turned away by a hospital, by a clinic, by anybody, because I need the help and I need it today. It seems to me that the right to health care of equal high quality ought to be a floor in the Constitution. When do I need education? Well, I needed it through the hours that I was, through the years that I became 18. But I also now need the same equal high quality education, you know, at one point for my 5-year-old son, 6-year-old son. It needs to be available when they need it. It needs to be available. We're talking about a revolutionary of values, in my opinion, Johnny, that require a movement to change the Constitution, to change the structure of America. And those values, just like gun values, become values over time. Talk to me, Johnny.
Wow. You're getting at the heart of the matter, Jesse. You know, let's consider this. You know, our Constitution was written at a time that could not anticipate the world we live in today. Even kings call for a revolution of values, as prescient as he was. And he did talk about technologies and how technology would change the world. King could not have anticipated, and I don't think he did, AI as we know it today, quantum computing as we know it today. I don't think he anticipated that the industrial economy under which the modern civil rights movement occurred would not be the techno-feudalism economy that Yanis Varoufakis talks about today. And yes, all of this has to be paid for. Who's going to pay for 360 million people, and as you say, and counting, Jesse? What type of economy can support the type of health care and the floor that you rightly say citizens, I agree, have a right to expect? We haven't done that kind of thinking. And others are doing that kind of thinking for us, Jesse. And that's the real fight that's taking place. The fight that's taking place today is not about SNAP. It's not about healthcare, Jesse. Those, yes, are real in the moment issues that affect us in our daily lives. But there's a bigger problem here. And that bigger problem here is that the as King said, the edifice that produces beggars needed restructuring back in the mid-60s. How much more does it need restructuring today? And the question is, what type of economy must it be structured to? And I think that's the question you're asking. Now, my point here is, Jesse, we have to take the time to have that conversation. And we can't rely on representative government. And they've proven this. They've shown us that they will not have that conversation on behalf of the American people, as we call ourselves. We've got to understand whether or not the capitalist system that we have today can really serve us in this new economy. An economy that doesn't need hands. You know, we can build an automobile, Jesse Jackson, and we can build an automobile today without a human hand ever touching it. Think about that. In the mid-20th century, when King called for this revolution of values, that was the economy that drove our entire gross domestic product, or essentially. We don't have that economy today. And the promise that we're going to bring jobs back to the United States is so laughable. What jobs will come back? We don't even have farming jobs when you think about it. Farming is also a very tech sensitive economy.
And increasingly satellite driven.
And exactly. So Jesse, do you get what I'm saying here? And the average American has no clue. We have an education process. And in fact, Jesse, we have an education problem. And, you know, in the mid-20th century, let me know when I've gone too long, Jesse, but in the mid-20th century, we had movement schools in the mid-20th century. We had movement schools that would take the time to teach us what the real issues really were, what the issues were, and what we had to do to address our day-to-day needs. We don't have those kinds of schools anymore. Just we have to find ways to reconstitute them. And technology is that way. We need new systems within civil society so that we can look out for ourselves, because our current system does not look out for us. That's a hard pill to swallow, Jesse Jackson Jr., but it's the truth anyhow.
If I had to give it more thought, and I know that we're coming forward in just a moment, I would argue that your argument, in time, over time, projecting a future time, is a struggle for the Constitution itself. Because I don't believe I have to be a democratic socialist to advocate for an American right or an American value. What I now know is that the president of the United States, Democrat or Republican, is not going to meet my in-time need over time. It just doesn't matter. They're not capable of it in that structure. So who do I need to help me arrive at that? I need the 350 million Americans, each empowered with an individual right, that, let's say the Mack family needs healthcare of equal high quality, and you sue to make the local hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, or New York, or Chicago a better hospital. I know that that hospital was available because the Mack family brought forward the lawsuit, but also because they brought forward the lawsuit and made that hospital better. By the time I step into that hospital, I'm the beneficiary of an improvement that Mack versus the United States brought when he went in to get his new kidney or get whatever fixed he needed to be fixed. In other words, we do this together by taking the power from Washington, putting it in the Constitution, and returning it to the people themselves. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show in the World House with Johnny Mack when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
Ready to order? Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything? Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council. Is your loved one at the hospital or in a nursing home? Have they developed bed sores, fallen, or worse? These are things your family members should be protected from. Bed sores, falls, and dehydration are almost always the result of negligent care. If this has happened to your loved one, call Zoran at Basic Law Group at 800-215-1234 or visit basiclawgroup.com. The consultation is free, and if they don't win, you don't pay. That's 800-215-1234.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tomorrow, we have Reflectivity on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest host, Gina Towns, will be our guest. She's also the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She was a charted recording artist, and she's the producer of our show. We reflect upon all of our shows over the course of the week, and I'm grateful for Gina and the production that she produces, a very high-quality show, right here on KBLA Talk 1580. And also this coming Monday, attorney Joey Jackson. Joey Jackson will be our very special guests on Monday with Ernest Krim at 2 p.m. Joey is a CNN analyst and lawyer, and I think he has one of the brightest legal minds and certainly the clearest legal mind on television. Grateful to Joey for being our very special guest this coming Monday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is our regular contributor from the World House, Dr. Johnny Mack, principal managing partner of the Johnny Mack Group, founder of the World House Project Incorporated. We have been looking deeply at the triple evils that Martin Luther King Jr. shared with us, and we've been talking about Dr. King for such a time as this. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Good to be here.
Johnny, I want to cover three quick things with you, so I can give you a quick outline so you can think them through. One, I want to hang around this floor for a minute before we get off the air. The floor that requires us to go through Congress to get a constitutional amendment turned over to the people. All of the people have to agree on it to add it to the Constitution. And in that education process, which is not overnight, I think we form coalition around needs, around basic values that allow us to direct capitalism to healthcare for the people, or direct capitalism to education for the people. The Constitution is the opportunity, from my perspective, without being a democratic socialist. It doesn't get much more American than the Constitution. We can direct the Constitution to accomplish something for the American people that can still be unique in American history. I want to deal with this floor for a second. I want to know also how we can support your work going forward, because your work is extraordinary and it must continue. And lastly, a word of hope. Johnny, let's start with the floor.
So the floor, Jesse. Yeah, on the floor. The Constitution certainly is a place to address this issue that we've been talking about, how to truly provide for the needs of the American people. Then, Jesse, there's the court. The Constitution has to be interpreted. Someone ultimately has to decide. And so we can't just focus, in my view, on the Constitution itself. It is important. Don't want to suggest that it is not. But we've got to get a handle on the entire framework of our governing process. The court, the executive, and the legislative branches of government. They have to be in concert. They have to play their roles. And even with the Constitution that we have, the interpretations that our present court structure is providing is frightening, and it has put us in a real way in the predicament that we're in now. And so not only, I would agree with you, do we need to address the Constitution, I believe we have to address the court system as well. That is going to determine in large measure how the Constitution is interpreted and what that floor looks like.
The reason I say the floor and the language, I've actually given this question some thought. All citizens, it's impossible to amend the Constitution for non-citizens. All citizens shall, not may, shall enjoy the right to health care of equal high quality. That's unambiguous language. Now, you'd be some kind of judge if you can find out how that doesn't include all citizens. but persons can have access to the health care through the 14th Amendment. That's kind of the floor that I see. Johnny, we're going to have a much broader conversation on the Constitution in the future, because I really want to challenge Congress and this country to turn this language over to the people and let the people decide for themselves in their Constitution the kind of health care, the kind of education, the kind of society that they want to build. Johnny, how can we help you in your work?
The World House Project, THE, worldhouseproject.org is our website. There, you can learn much more about our work. It is a global work that reaches every nook and cranny of the World House, so to speak. There, you can also donate to our work. We are a tax-exempt organization, and so your donations would be tax-exempt at theworldhouseproject.org.
Johnny, we just have about a minute and 45 seconds for a word of hope.
So, Jesse, I was thinking about this, and one of my favorite authors, and I'm sure yours as well, was the incredible James Baldwin. And he wrote, "The world changes according to the way people see it. And if you alter even by a millimeter," Baldwin says, "the way people look at reality, then you can change it." Think about it. If we alter even by a millimeter the way we view the world, we can change it. But we have to look at it. We have to face it. And James Baldwin also wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until we face it." And so we've got to face these difficult days that we find ourselves in. That's our hope.
Johnny, thank you for your participation in the World House.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jesse.
Can't wait to see you next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest has been Johnny Mack. More with Johnny Mack next Thursday. And tomorrow, Gina Towns. Wow. That Meat Fridays and Reflectivity. I so look forward to that program. That's the day that we have a lot of fun. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.